Well, we're back, guys. Thank you for hanging around. That was some chaos, is what that was. We had some network problems over on our end, and we're back into picks and bans.
And
And the rosters are here. That was, in fact, Skada, first
oh my
pick.
word.
That might mean that there was a mistake made, and they have to stick with it.
But then the Graves is locked in, so that's Skarner top.
Yes, that might well be Appleman playing Skada top into what might be Ebby's Shen. We've got Olaf for steal. It is Senna Leona, which DFM have liked its utility bot. A lot of CC, fair amount of engage, heal. Dawning Shadows, great globally. It's been very strong.
And Senna's Q is just an unfair laning skill.
It is just a very unfair laning skill. On the other side, though, it will be Heimerdinger from Seros into Piri and Zoe. Two, well, honestly, classic pick for both these champions, but the one we've got to talk about is Shen versus Skada in the top lane.
Come on,
What is going on?
So, funnily enough, I didn't prep anything for Skarner top.
Did you not?
No. For some reason, it just didn't cross my mind. It did cross Appleman's, though, been locked in against Ebby. This does have a lot of ability damage, which does go through the Spirit Refuge from the Q and E and stuff. But if you end up dodging that auto attack, obviously you don't get stunned. Question is, what build is he going to go for? Is he going to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet or the Righteous Glory? The Trinity Force? Plenty of different ways you can build it. And then how's it going to link up with stuff like the Olaf and the Graves? Because, of course, the Olaf can't get CC'd by the Skada ultimate, so he just Ragnarok's away from it.
Yes.
He's gone.
And
he runs away.
The reason I'm so concerned is because we went straight to a remake of Client. We saw Blank look very confused about the Skarner lock-in. We don't have access to the LJL comms, so we can't necessarily tell you what was going on. But my gut reaction is that wasn't a deliberate pick. So if that's the case, that is bad news for Sengoku. I want to act as though it is, and this is the team comps we do have, though. So let's talk a little bit about Skarner and how it could work in this comp.
You become very, very hard to peel away once you have spires and a number of items under your belt. If you have something like the Iceborne, like we're saying, Righteous Glory, and a couple of things buffing you up like that, the AD carry, if they step out of position, are just completely free pickings for you. You have to pay the Skarn attacks, the QSS coming out, and that means that you then end up getting a pseudo gold advantage for your team, because the enemy team has spent so much gold onto that cleanse mechanic. Could have picked something like Gangplank. And actually, in the second round of bans, we saw the Gangplank banned away. Maybe that's a good reason to do that.
Oh, well, we'll see what that works out. As we see, we've come into the Rift and into a game pause. That's what we like to see.
Nice.
Straight back to the casters. There was a level 1 brewing, but we'll have to wait to see what goes on with that. Couldn't quite see who's in that. I think I saw Graves.
Nothing can ever be simple in life, whether it's the LJL, whether it's our own end as well. Whatever. Like I said, all the best broadcasts I've been a part of have had some niggles. Just a couple of teething issues around. It just has an issue or two there. We're just getting them out the way early, so we can bring you the best series the LGL has to offer. Maybe that'll be tomorrow. We'll have to find out. I mean, the best series so far. That's the way we're going to phrase this. Oh, this is the worst day of my life. It's the worst day of your life so far.
Yes, but maybe the best. Let's not go with worst. I've got faith this could go well already. So, Skarner top, been over that one. Olaf into Graves. We've seen less of Olaf of late. It's not the same priority he was, whereas Graves has been largely pretty high priority across the globe. Pretty common picks for both of these players. A lot of agency early on, at least in terms of farming. I'd give Olaf the edge in terms of fighting early on, but Graves definitely has that edge to become the mid game.
But then also you have Smokescreen, which is a very, very powerful ability. I didn't see what Rune Blank had picked up, whether he'd gone towards the Fleet Footwork or the Phase Rush. Phase Rush, I think, is way better at trying to disengage from something like an Olaf, because he just runs at you continually. The short burst of move speed from Fleet Footwork, not really enough to carry you out of the fight. For me, I really do want to zero in on the mid lane. I know it's something we were eventually going to get towards. But for me, DFM are a team that have always banned Zoe. They've never wanted to play against it, really. I've had it a couple of times where they've let it through and they've had some kind of counter pick chalked up. They've had Xerath. We saw that in the spring semifinals between them and V3. But that's against Ace, who's a very different caliber of mid laner to someone like Pyrian. At least they don't play in the same way. Ace is not a laning player, and he was therefore punished in lane and set behind in the game. they tried that Xerath pick versus Pyrion in the early stages of summer, and it completely failed.
Yeah.
It just didn't end up working in the early lane. Of course, it ended up having that mid-game pokey kind of thing, but they wanted to take control of the early game against that pick, and it didn't work at all in that instance. The question is, with the Heimerdinger today, is that going to be their solution? Because this is something they've always played. Why would they play it into Zoe if they hadn't done it until now?
I mean, they did it with Nico, right, as well, that he was doing earlier on in the playoffs. He did it into Arya's Zoe as well, who is a monstrous Zoe. And one game it kind of went wrong. Started fine in lane, nearly got a solo kill, but some good portal mechanics. And then Arya went 14-0 and 11. Game after that, though, Seros did a lot of work on that Nico.
By the way, that's not a joke, by the way. It literally was 14-0 and 11.
It was dumb.
It was stupid.
It was silly. And then, ran it back the next game, looked a lot better. Ari didn't get to run out of lane, pick up 4 kills, and snowball from there. So it's something that we have seen DFM start to begin to feel okay letting through. And I kind of feel in some ways you almost have to, because you don't want to have to lose a pick onto the Zoe, especially when there's sort of things like, particularly if you're red side, saying, well, normally I'd say Caitlyn, but Sengoku banning that on blue, which raised a few eyebrows over here as well.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's definitely worth noting about. I do definitely like the fact that Pyrion is on Zoe as opposed to Azir. He had some very bad builds in V3 series. Boris reared his beautiful head. We ain't calling it ugly here. It was what a sight it was to behold, building Comet Luden's Azir when he needed to be the teamfight damage, and ended up promptly not being the teamfight damage because he had 0 damage.
Yes.
And that was
into a full tank set.
Into a full
into full tank
Yeah, into a full tank set, which meant he fell off a cliff in terms of damage. And so we had a lot of issues with how Pyrion was building on the Azir. Zoe, much easier to get that one right, because Zoe just tends to do damage if you have any amount of AP. So what I'm hoping is that he'll be much more of a factor this series, because he played really well besides that, because he just didn't give himself the right stats to do what we wanted him to do in those games. Now with one of his favorite champions, hopefully we'll see this guy be a point of pressure, because he has been such a big carry for them. He has the most damage percentage on his team too, and as a mid laner, not always the most common thing. Looks like we're back into game though.
We are, and we've got a 4-man stack in the bot side. What do you know? It's a Skada Bushbait, level 1, who is down here. Wait, here comes Yutora Mahashi as well. They're just steamrolling forwards, and DFM have no idea. They're going to wander through a ward here, though, shortly, so it will be the 5-man invade. Wonder if that sweeper was popped a little early, actually. It will still catch the ward, and they will still get it. But that means that Apperman now has to back away and end topside, with DFM having lost the ward early on.
So what that means is that Zeros is not going to have any of his turrets removed from mid lane. He will have push at level 1. That does mean slight amount of XP over to Pyrion. He was there for the ward death, so I don't know. I actually don't know if you share the ward out between that many people, if you still hit level 2 off of the first wave. I don't know what the
breakpoint is on that.
I think it's pretty close. Okay, so tracked jungle start from DFM onto Sengoku, because they have a ward onto the enemy blue buff, and of course onto their own blue buff too. They know that Blank will be starting on his red.
They will, and you can see his steal is starting leashless on Raptors. For Olaf, it's super easy with the Undertows to find his way onto that level 2 by himself. Ebby here stepping forward and trying to prevent Apperman from getting near to the wave. He does this on set a lot, but Apperman will manage to bully his way up to that wave.
Oh, this is so mad, because Apperman is also a player we've known to have a limited champion pool.
Yes.
Maybe this is just the sign of something, a higher being saying, yo, my boy Apperman, play something different. I really hope he's prepared.
I'm hoping this is prepped. I'm really hoping this is prepped.
I'm hoping.
Well, we'll have to see how it works out. I mean, it's definitely unusual. They've definitely pulled out something spicy. Whether it was deliberate or not is a different question. Twitter vote, AI vote, definitely favouring Sengoku Gamer. That was a fantastic play that prevented the engage there from Gang.
And we were talking about the supports and how they are going to be really important in this game. Gang on his Leona was pivotal, absolutely pivotal versus CGA in that last round of the playoffs. And NC kind of struggled versus V3.
He did. Also worth saying, of course, that Gang did in fact have a fairly fantastic run at it over versus Proud in Banning Core as well, but Proud also put on a great show. But that was the shows that we were happy to see.
Seriously, guys, go watch DFM versus Burning Core if you have the time. Really, really good series. Went to 5 games. No spoilers. Well, there was a spoiler there, but might be a spoiler. Gank in the bot lane.
Yes. we can see Blank went topside, has come straight back down bot. He's gone for the flash hook, will miss, but now the smoke screen on to Gang. But that's a solo with the Zenith played out into the shield of Daybreak. But now Steelers are looking to run down Blank, who's gone in very deep. He's got the phase rush to try and get out. The piercing darkness won't quite get the kill, but now there's a lot of damage. Olaf flashing in, trying to get the last order's first blood over to DFM. The counter gank is successful.
Blank overcommits in the bot lane, and who's the person to pick up their pieces? It's stolen away by Steel. Double buffs over to the Olaf, got himself that first blood, gonna pick himself up the bottom scuttle to disaster for Sengoku in the early game.
Oh, let's see this replay, because I've got to commend Gang here for some fabulous escape mechanics.
And also for me, Flash Flay has been the tried and true combo from Thresh for so long. Goes for the flash hook and is flashed away from NT not landing the CC, and then Blank not tracking the enemy jungler well enough. Steel gets right on top of him, and with the red buff ticking, he can't dodge the axe, and Steel finishes off that kill.
The DFM emote comes out. And Blank is going to feel a little sheepish after that one. Seeing Gang stepping forward, lurking for that Shield of Daybreak. Won't find it, and he gets to walk away. Bot side is definitely spicy thus far. That is the last embrace. So he's burned both of them. He went straight in with the lantern. You've got to be so careful with that bird's glance.
You do, but the reason that's important is that he knows he's going to root up NT, but at least the Flay can disengage Leona if he stood next to them. So it might look a little bit awkward from that side, but I don't actually disagree with what you three did. It's just the worst of what is kind of the worst, the lesser two evils.
There we go.
That's the better of them. That's why I say that.
So my moment of despair counteracted by my color point, who actually understands what's going on there. Thank you for that. That's good sense. We can see that the Blank is at this top side, taking away Steel's Krugs, and the wave is under Ebby's turret, but I don't think we're going to see a dive onto the Shen, who's still relatively high HP. Mid lane, though, those turrets proving a little bit of an annoyance to Pyrion, but otherwise pretty even.
Not enough to be a serious XP or minion advantage to Seros. Pyrion, can you stop the back? No, he can't. He was quickly moving forward with these not Spellbook, I think it was Spell Thieves heal to try and cancel Seros' back. Doesn't manage to do so, and Seros will teleport back to lane.
Steel and Gang, though, on their first reset, will head straight to this Ocean Drake. That is Olaf with the Skirmisher Saber and the Balmy Cinder off the first blood. And that's going to give them the early dragon pressure that DFM do so love.
It's funny, because it looks like he's got axes, not sabers.
He does. I know he's a bit of an odd one. This is just bought additional weaponry.
That's very clever of him. You know, just in case like one of them gets blunted. He's trying to cut down too many trees.
But, you know, DFM have got good early game stats. Lumberjack references aside, you know, they get first dragon in 70% of their games. They get first blood in 84% of their games on blue. Like, that is some big numbers, but they have been known to fall off a cliff come the mid game. It's been less of a problem in recent series, but Sengoku Gaming also just damn well lame. Very, very fantastic, very, very well. As maybe I thought we might be seeing something there as the Zenith Blade comes in, but it's well countered by the Flay. That will be more people in, and Blank is here. It is a 2v3, but Gang is still stepping forward. Nebby's come down as well, because Stand United means that DFM come up with the second kill. This time, courtesy of Shen, and there's no way Skada could come and interrupt that one.
I was really confused why Leona was taking 0 damage. Turns out they had a really big shield from Ebby in the top side, pushes out that top lane, and Apperman, even though he has so much CC on the Skana, cannot cancel that global. It's a 3v3, but one has a jungler, one has a top lane, and it turns out top lane comes out trumps, or in fact just comes out tops, although he does lose himself some plates on the top side. Very, very smooth early game plays from DFM.
It's been looking pretty good, but they'll need to continue it forward. They have managed to get themselves about 1,500 gold in here, which is fairly significant at 7 minutes in. But what that has meant is that Apperman's been able to get out from under his tower for the first time in a while, but will now find himself the recipient of a taunt, which is always a bit frustrating. And Shen, with those Merc Treads first buy to try and counteract some of that CC, I think probably a sensible buy.
Seros putting down the turret even after he was slapped, making sure the Paddle Star has no clear route through to that little Yordle in the mid lane. Does have himself a bit of a CS advantage, but that's with the minion wave crashing into turrets. Relatively even in the mid lane. I think the question for me now is, how does Pyrion become a factor in this game? Because bot lane is certainly not where it's happening right now. We were talking about the difference there in form had been in favor of DFM before. Pyrion might be the person to carry the weight for Sengoku. It's going to have to come out pretty strong here, though, because the Herald has been started up, rather, and the bot lane rotating to it.
They are. There goes Gang. He's heading up. You can see that Sengoku Gaming is saying we won't bother with that. We're just going to try and get our shove on in the bot side. Leona hanging around mid, trying to work out where she's best suited to help. That leaves Senna under tower, looking to farm. The missing pings are coming out across the map. NT going to wander into the jungle, trying to get some wards down.
Hey, right. So with Leona having left lane, NT does take that chance, as you're saying, to go get some vision or at least some presence in the bot lane. No wards dropped besides in that tri-brush, but trying to get blank some of the enemy's jungle, gets himself that blue buff. And top lane, as we can just see, Shen does so well at these hard trade matchups. If you get that Q drag through the champion, his auto attacks just hit like a truck. Or a ninja, a really large sword.
He does have a ninja very large sword. It's not really all that ninja-like, is he, Shen? He just sort of very visible, not all about secrecy. Yes, he's pretty upfront.
I see you too are part of the Monte Cristo Doa school of thought on Shen. He is not sneaky at all.
Like, he's just not. I mean, there's something sneaky about the fact he can just turn up if people aren't prepared for him with the Stand United. We can see Gang looking for the Zenith Blade into the Solar Flare, into so much damage. NT has got himself a shield, he's got himself a flare and a hook. But Unipon gets the kill anyway as Apperman will get a drag onto Ebby, but that's before Stand United was available, so that wasn't coming through, wasn't cancelled, and Seros taken to about half HP. Maybe has to be a bit of aware that Blank is in the river bush here. Here he comes. Smoke screen flash out from Seros. The kill, because the Stand United was so swift out of Ebby, and Seros will survive.
Yeah, I was sat there like, oh, you know, if that sleep lands, this isn't killed. Wow, yeah, Blank's got ult. That's great. Oh, there's a Shen in the game. The shield gets stronger as the target you are using that ultimate on gets lower HP, and the first ultimate from Apperman was used to no avail, trying to drag Ebby under turret, whereas his second ultimate is used to save yet another situation for DFM. I'm really liking how they showed up in this game. We thought they might come in with the edge into this matchup, but this is looking very confident and a little out of sorts for Sengoku.
It is, and it's DFM not playing around top. It's DFM playing for that bot focus, which we saw was something they were starting to go towards. It's Shen for Ebby. This is not a pick we've seen out of him in a long time.
I'm trying to think the last time we've seen it, actually.
But he's still managed to have impact across the map. It's looking really strong here. I think Shen is pretty strong in the global meta right now, and it's led them to the first Drake, first Herald, 3 kills. They've got plates in inventory and a Heimerdinger that would love to be the recipient of some of them.
Okay, Period. Okay, yeah, that was a stolen flash. Like, that's a bit odd.
But it does mean he gets hit by the grenade toss. Will be the Herald summoned in mid lane for priority as DFM will look to head over to this second Drake spawn and secure it for themselves.
Yeah, and I was casting with someone else this week, a guy called Crowden, really lovely guy. And he used a term which I really love. He said that he's using the Herald as a counterweight. I think that does describe what DFM are doing really well here. They're making sure that the Dragon is evening out where their champions are not in that mid lane, getting themselves some plates. Seros
balancing the scales.
Balances the scales and allows them to take that second Dragon uncontested. And given that it is now a Mountain Drake, rather a Mountain Rift coming up.
Well played.
So I'm actually sniffing that out. It's very, very important to DFM that they do get those 2 early Dragons, because that's such a powerful condition to play around in the late game.
Especially when we are now onto what looks like a Mountain Rift. I'll have a look into the jungle. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And that, you know, when you've got a Shen, when you've got an Olaf, when you've got a Leona, is good news. Especially when you're against something like a Jhin as well, who likes those burst rates.
Everyone.
It is good news for the Futurama aficionados out there. Thank you, Crowden, as well. In true play-by-play fashion, I'll be stealing that counterweight statement
and
for my own
will be bought.
And Steel will be here, as is Blank. So it will be a 3v3, but will it actually be a 3v3? There is a teleport on both of these top laners. There is a teleport available for both these mid laners. This could get messy really fast. Steel's on vision. He's going to get interrupted. Pyrion's roaming down. Steel's going to be in a lot of danger. He's going to take a lot of damage. Flash out, but still burns down. Now Gang's in desperate danger. Will get hit with the deadly flourish, but will flash out to safety. Blast Embrace just misses there. That got a bit close, but Seros looking for potential grenade, but didn't have the vision. Good turnaround kill there.
As a mid laner who plays a lot of Assassins, a lot of Ari Syndra, and a lot of very high burst champions, having wards over that wall is so important. It means that someone who is roaming towards those kind of plays can get picked off very, very easily on their return back to lane. Perion just picked off the enemy jungler, and this time it's Steel that goes down. He's the one that's punished after quite a heads-up play from Sengoku.
And the moment Seros calls the missing ping, it's already too late.
Yep.
They're already on it. They've got vision. And a lot burned there by DFM, but great news for Sengoku Gaming.
I kind of wish Yutori had hit a couple more shots there. That's the one criticism I'd have, because a bit more DPS there, and suddenly Gang goes down too. He had to flash over that wall, and it has to be stuck on that Hex flash. But still, one kill onto the Olaf just to slow him down in this game, because he was getting pretty scary. He's still very scary. You know? He's still at a point where he will be relevant into a little further into the game than he might have done without that early game lead. Get up to a Black Cleaver, which will certainly help the likes of Senna and some of Shen's damage as well. But now having that gold being taken away from DFM, it's the first signs of life from Sengoku in this series.
Yes, it is. And it's the first one where they have countered what DFM are wanting to do rather than the other way around. Still, obviously, here up at about a 1,500 gold lead of DFM, but it's not going any further, and that snowball partly stunted there by the way they played around that jungle invade there. So he finds another taunt at the top side, but it's starting to do a little less damage because the Sunfire Cape has been completed.
I do like what Halfman's doing. What he's doing there is he's firing out the E as the taunt is coming towards him. So his first auto attack when his taunt will still stun up Ebby, and means that he can't get that Spirit's Refuge down for the instant dodge field. And that means that they're both CC'd for the same amount of time, basically. Sunfire Cape completed for Halfman does give him a bit more trading pressure against Ebby and allows him to be a frontline tank. Another sleep lands. Is it just going to hit the turret? Ow!
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
But Pyrion takes a fair trade back at the end of that as well. But yeah, bit of an ouch for both of those mid laners there, as Seros will back away and think, okay, maybe I'll end up over here. And Recall has got himself a teleport, so can find his way back into this fight should he so wish. But this is Second Herald. DFM have failed around this one a significant amount, whereas Sengoku Gaming, this is when they start to shine. The Second Herald fight is another sleep landing. Empyrean, so good at these, but it's onto Steel, who doesn't actually take all that much. Empyrean's actually pretty low here, doesn't have a teleport.
Say, using the portal jump there means that Empyrean is not in the best of shapes coming up to this fight. They do have the Skarner Spire for now,
low as well.
But given that Sengoku have just taken so much HP, as you were saying, yeah, NT very low, they're going to lose that Spire, probably lose the Second Herald too. Objectives all going the way of DFM.
It will be, and Seros just teleported straight back in. It looked like it could have been great if they could keep Seros around, so he would have been low HP. He wasn't. Seros goes back, has got himself a Ludens, and his Second Herald over to DFM, much like they had second Drake. Blank, though, will look to punish this objective take by going and taking something of the top side blue jungle here.
Now, the question is, because there are no plates here, what's the maximum gain you get from this Herald? Acclaimed, another person who's quite close to our community, watches a lot of the VOD review that I do of the LJL, often does bring up this point and kind of make you think, say, what's the maximum value you're actually going to get from this Herald if you commit to it? They're using it to take the mid lane out of turret. So for me, in another game where it might have been, oh, you just slam it against the turret, it's just kind of takes down half the HP, taking away that mid outer turret versus someone like a Zoe who loves to sit and wave clear, that's actually quite big value out of that.
It may well be, and you can sort of see as DFM now having taken Second Herald, maybe got that counterweight available.
Well, no, they just used it to take down the turret. They
did.
Why.
Exactly. They used it. That's a big fight in the jungle. Blank taken super low. Rockets coming out, and that's massive in front of this third Drake start. The jungler is already so low, and DFM just have full control around this space. NT, you trying to find a bit of a flank, trying to get their way in and look to contest. It would be good curtain call location. There is a smite on Pyrion, who has picked it up. Do they have Lantern for Ebby?
Teleport
over here
cancelled.
That's massive. The solar flare comes down as well. NT is so low, goes down to the shots from center. Blank flashing out, is back to being so low. Steel is also pretty low, though, has to be pretty aware of Pyrion. Does go down, but it will still be the Drake secured. That got a little bit dicey. Well done by Pyrion there to pick up something on the back end of that.
And the Stand United didn't come through. It was available that entire time. Even if you cancel the teleport, you can get the shield. Pyrion really trying to dig his team out of the dirt. You see how much damage he's doing with these combos. If he is ahead in this game, we're going to have to see what he can keep doing. With 2 kills now, that's looking like an increasingly likely opportunity to use.
Well, take me through this replay then, because this teleport cancel made it look like it was DFM's fight to crush.
For sure, but then it's not like he's teleporting in himself. Thresh gets caught out. A lot of cooldowns are used onto just the Thresh, though. It's not like Yutori or Pyrion aren't any threat at this point. And Pyrion, at that point, because he's full HP, is free to just wail on the enemy jungler. And as we were saying, the Stand Unite didn't come through. The burst came through too quickly for Ebby to ult his jungler. And that means Dragon does go over to DFM regardless, but the kill at least goes over to Sengoku.
Okay, so about 2,000 gold now for DFM. What do you know? It's grown a tiny bit. But we are looking at
Hang on. That's not 2,000. That's like
Oh, it's still the same. The moment I spoke about it, it shrunk again. I feel I'm going to hold that myself to that. But okay, maybe not. But we're now looking at
This is why I don't come to you for, like, taxes or anything.
Yeah, all right, well...
I'll be inadvertently dodging taxes if I let you do them.
Okay, well,
oh, yeah, I was...
It's actually... You're right, it's absolutely shrunk. It's now less than 1,000 is where we're at. But I will say that it is, of course, still that mountain soul point that DFM are getting to, which is what I was going to try and bring myself towards before I missed that.
Could you imagine if, like, once you earned, like, 10,000 gold in League of Legends, like, the IRS just turned up? It's like, hey, you know that Ludens we've got? You're gonna have to repossess that. You know, you gotta. How do you think that? How do you think Boris affords all those Morellonomicons? He's got to eat that. It's the taxes. It's not just the wares he has.
Yeah, I mean that's just it, isn't it? We've got to find out where's the
money trail?
Where is the money trail? I mean, the money trail for DFM is clearly in property. They're looking to take down the towers and pick up all the standing gold.
They run quite the demolition agency.
Yes, indeed.
So Seros does this better than any timing that I've seen in recent. Okay, no one else plays Heimerdinger, but he does this very well on the champion. He ends up going into a side lane and using the wave clear that turrets provide him on that champion to just have a lot of side lane pressure. But he does it in a way that he's not getting collapsed on, which a lot of mages and side lanes can fall prey to. He's doing it. Look what's happening. The rest of his team A-ramming in mid, making sure that Sengoku have to respond there, and they can't deal with this Heimerdinger. Even though the Zoe is relatively far ahead, just can't have the wave clear right now.
Fighting down though, that will be the sleep missing, but Appman coming up very, very fast, looking to try and find a route onto someone, but all they can find is Steel, who just used the Ragnarok. Now they're trying to turn around onto Appman, but they just can't get anything, and that means that Seros will get this turret in the top side.
Key interaction there. Pyrion fluffs the sleepy trouble bubble. It doesn't go the whole way through the wall. The CC doesn't land, and the play is called off only for the cost of the Ragnarok. Blank now in top side jungle. But in the process of this play, we did see Seros, as we were talking about, having that side lane pressure. They take down a turret, and Sengoku can't find the fight. Even though the gold is still relatively even, it's 20 minutes in and not a huge advantage, still the pressure on the map, especially in these side lanes, is going to DFM right now. Sengoku will want to try... okay.
Just cancels it with the pull through on the sword. That's about it. And Ahmed's like, wow, that was dirty. You didn't even bother taunting. Just used your sword to cancel me.
Wow. No, it's the Titanic Hydra. It doesn't actually do damage to the sword pull through. If you pull it through a champion, it means that your next 3 autos do more damage to the champions, whatever. So you have to drag it through a champion, see what happens there. Okay, right. We have stuff in the mid lane happening. The ARM, the tradition, it is actually Pyrion and Yusori very briefly sharing some farm and XP.
And, you know, part of where this sort of like narrowed gold is coming from as well is probably largely from this jungle position right now, where there is 30 odd CS in the jungle, which is a fairly significant chunk that has gone the way of Blank. That is good news for the jungler who had a bit of a rough early game, but it's actually come out 0-1 and 2 is at least like managed not to die on some of the plays that have gone awry outside of that first gank in the bot side.
And speaking of that jungle diff, well, I mean, a jungle gold diff. It's not jungle diff. Steel's been playing pretty well, you know. We do have Black Cleaver completed onto Blank. I mean, jungle diff in terms of how you know about it. You know what I mean. It's the meme. Yep. Sleep lands, see what happens.
Sleep lands, going to the gang who takes a big chunk, but the last embrace comes out, forced to cleanse out a Pyrion. That is the solar flare in, and the turnaround is huge.
All onto NC.
Seros gets that one, but you're right, it's all onto Endy. Emperman in the front line, though, is taking a lot of damage. The Dawning Shadow comes through. It is 2 for 1 right now. Ebi so low, but now the front line of DFM needs to be a bit aware. That is Gang going back in. Yusori actually now forced to cleanse, trying to get the shots, the bouncing bullets. There is not a fourth shot available though, and everybody is super low as this Mana Drake about to spawn, but there are teleports available for the likes of Ebi who can come back in. They're looking, but Pyrion, low on mana but high on HP, could be a terror yet.
Pyrion is hunting here. He's trying to look for the bubbles, trying to look for the paddle stars, and he is getting a lot of damage. Ebi has teleport. He'll make his way over to Mountain Dragon, and this is Mountain Soul Point. This is going to be one of the turning points of the game. They're still teleporting in. Ebi really going deep.
He is. He might well find himself in trouble. Will find himself on his sleep, but now DFM really want to secure this, but they have no jungler.
They don't.
Steel's not here yet. They're trying to hold on by...
He's coming down. Yeah, they've bought
one another 5v5, but do they have the ultimates anymore? That's the real question. What is available? There's not a lot across the board. What is your standard damage numbers at Blank at half HP? Steel at full, looking for maybe this blue buff. Steel will end up slept. Takes a lot of damage into the Deadly Flourish, but it's actually pretty damn tanky. That didn't do as much as they'd like. Now, Appman has to find his way out with the Lantern, but that is the last embrace that ends up on 2. Bubble comes out again, looking for the angle. Won't quite land it. Down to half HP is this Mountain Drake. Steel in position. Blank still hunting, still around. Has got a 2-level advantage here as well as far as smites go. DFM looking to come around. Pyrion having to back.
Solar Flare is back.
Solar Flare is back. They don't know that Pyrion is backing though. They are going to see the teleport now coming back in, you assume, but it's off fishing in a bush. Man, this is so tense. Ebby and Appman dueling up to the top side, but that means the front lines aren't here. Zenith Blade misses, but the Solar Flare still available. Deadly Flourish missing, and it is just a continued dance around this Drake. Poke v Poke. Last Embrace forces Flash out of Pyrion. That's the real one, by the way, not a stolen one. Gang taken a little bit low there as well. Man, this war continues. Scuttle Crab secured by DFM. Apperman Burns Righteous Glory will get nothing for it, and both of these teams know this could decide the game.
Yeah.
Mountain Soul for DFM might be the breaking point for Sengoku Gaming. This might be the stall that gets Sengoku back into it, but DFM are backing away.
No, they're not. And to be honest, you know, I've seen a lot of dancing shows in my time.
Blank's in trouble. He's going to get caught. They thought it was all over. Now Blank needs to find his way out. He's getting chased down by Senna, but she's got approach velocity. She's got auto attacks. The jungler is dead, and now Sengoku Gaming. They try to pull away, and DFM outthink it.
And Blank doesn't flash early. He gets caught. He has 2 forms of mobility, 3 to him. He has the quick draw as well, and it doesn't get him out of danger. Utapon picking up that kill, and now this is almost inevitably going to be the dragon going over to DFM.
It's a hook onto Ebby, but do DFM fight it, or do they just try and keep people away?
It's
zoning off. That is Mountain Soul secured. The curtain call comes down, but is it curtains for Sengoku Gaming? That stall, that dance took forever. But it is DFM that come out on top.
I've seen plenty of dancing shows on TV you know, I've been Strictly Come Dancing. Have you ever heard of Dancing with the Paddle Stars? Pyrion trying so hard around that objective, but it's Utapon who really has the big moment and ends up catching him when he jumps forward, forcing out the flash, and suddenly Sengoku don't have that same amount of safety to play around. Now they have to play around that 4 Dragon DF, and this does open up an early Elder Dragon. That's always the worry when you have that soul. But still, the extra resists onto a Olaf, onto a Leona, onto a Shen is nothing to sniff at. And I think even with the Elder, Sengoku might struggle to finish off this game, even if they were to steal it.
Okay, well, I was going to make a pun about dancing on ice, but Blank and Sengoku Gaming stepping into DFM's jungle who might have been looking for something, but instead, much like that dragon fight, it will be a bit of a glacial progress going on there, dancing on ice indeed, and bot turret goes the way of DFM. As Ebby gets to push that one down.
Let's see how thin DFM can make that ice, try and burn through it with some sunlight. Gang having a really good game so far on Leona. He's ended up turning around pretty much everything that NT has tried to do onto their 2v2. And of course, he's been catching out NT in the start of fights. I think that Sengoku are okay with trading a lot of cooldowns for NT's life. The thing is, they're not ending up finding any picks of their own after that point. They're not ending up balancing their cooldowns well enough. It doesn't help when they are forced to make plays because Ebby is winning the side lane so hard, and now they might be forced onto in the mid lane.
They might be, and DFM are saying, well, we have Heimerdinger and Senna here to keep us all topped up. We can start this Baron whatever, and you've got to come and face check us. Steel takes a paddle stop, that means absolutely nothing. That's Last Embrace into Solar Flare. Blank is down. Utorumi actually has to burn cleanse. Now Apperman gets flashed on. I thought Skarno was supposed to be the one doing stunning, and instead it will be Senna with the double kill. Jungler, top laner dead, and DFM runs straight to Baron as Heimerdinger puts down a turret that blocks the sleep.
And DFM are adamant about saying, hey, Apperman, you are not affecting these team fights, to which Apperman and Skarna responds, crystal clear. The Baron has started up. That's going to be the curtain call. Let's see what happens.
Right, there's a lot of frontline here. Pyrion gets a big chunk on Utapon, but that Piercing Darkness heals him straight back up of half the damage that was dealt. That one hit nothing. Ebby's in the frontline buying time. He gets a taunt onto Entity, and we've got ourselves a little bit of a buffer here, so no idea what's going on, but Entity does, in fact, end up with the rocket, forces the flash out there, and that means that DFM will secure this Baron alongside the Mountain Soul they got from the previous fight. 6,000 plus gold in the lead. And fights are looking pretty dire now for Sengoku Gaming.
I'm going to throw this out there. This feels like the way Sengoku would win. They end up forcing the objective fights, muscling you out of those areas of the map when they do come up. But this time it's DFM doing it. They do it with a fight in the mid lane. It's Blank caught out again. And Blank, he's had a great split. He's had a pretty good year in the LJL. This game is not one of those highlight moments, though. He's ended up being caught for first blood, caught around that Mountain Soul Dragon, and he's ending up being caught here in the mid lane, which has led to that Baron. You need to put down the microscope onto that player, because he's going to have to step up in this series.
NT on a ward, but doesn't know it as yet. As DFM sieging 4-1. They've got the irregular unit on, but that's Gang going in with the Hex Flash, he says. But now Appleman coming around the back, looking for an engage. DFM have overstepped, and Ebby's not here. They've got to be so afraid. Righteous Glory coming out, but that will be Gang looking to turn it around. That's the Righteous Glory engage stopped. Teleport burned by DFM, and they get the Solar Flare onto Apple. He's going to try and get to the Lantern. His Shield of Daybreak comes through mid-air, but it won't stop him. And now there's a fair amount burned for DFM, and they are 5-man stacked in this mid lane.
But now looking at how little damage Steel takes with the shield, look, Ebby's caught again. It doesn't matter. He's got 2 Mountain Dragons. He has a Mountain Bloody Soul. This guy is not easy to take down. And when you've got a Jhin, a lower damage AD carry, and Perrin has just been taken down.
Good lord, he's getting flashed on top of. He flashed out of the Lantern because he couldn't click it. DFM diving, getting 2. They're looking for more. They're looking for the 3rd here as Blank falls, as well as NT through the base gates to share the blushes as Seros wanders across one of those captive audience traps. They're not going to get the 3rd. They will get the inhibitor, and they might just look to push in an end. Yutora Mayashi will flash, I believe, to save the blushes there, not get himself caught, but Nexus turrets under siege. It's still 20 seconds on both Pyrian and Blank. They've got to find time. They've got to buy space. They've got to cut the wave, because there's just not very much damage between a Thresh and a Skarner and a Jhin that's not really all that fed right now. Here come DFM. One more time. One more Nexus turret, and it is just the Nexus standing between them and a game 1 victory. 1-0 to DFM in this best-of-5 series.
And I'd say it would be a statement game, but this is more like throwing a damn book at Sengoku, all of which the pages are written DFM victory 1-0. That is one way to start a series.
Well, Skarner top pick didn't really work out. I think it's fair to say.
No, I don't think it did, Sam.
We're going to have some more thoughts about this game, though, because we're going to take a swift break. We're going to collect our thoughts, and we'll be right back with an analyst desk, so go absolutely nowhere. Maybe you got time to grab a drink, but nothing else.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the desk. Alex, always known as Lexi here. Initialize, Nightmare, your casters are still with me. Gentlemen, game one of this match three, well, round three. Round three series of Detonation FocusMe facing off against Sengoku Gaming in favor DFM. First game, and this looked really strong from DFM, especially in this early game around this bot lane.
Yeah, we saw Blank's early jungle pathing scouted by DFM. He went bot to top. Then he kind of pulled a bit of a fast one and cleared top to bot again and turned up bot lane to try and catch the bot lane off guard. It kind of did. Then Gang pulled out some shenanigans to kind of escape with a good Zenith Blade into the Shield of Daybreak. Steel turns up for the counter Gang because Blank was looking for the kill. And it kind of all goes wrong from there.
I think that's the key thing, right? There's a lot of shenanigans. And yeah, Gang kind of using the Zenith Blade as an extra escape. NC starting off with a flash hook instead of a flash flare. Yutuan gets out of it. The CC doesn't land. And it got relatively close, but still, the end result of that play is double buffs over to Olaf, refreshed once again, and first blood over to that guy, and Blank taken off the map. Not a good start.
No, and that start didn't go anywhere. We had a new analogy over here on the desk. Now, with that counterweight point for Heralds, and Detonation FocusMe had all of the control around the objectives in this early game. They secured all of the dragons not long after they had spawned, which was very important for the momentum of this game, as well as in securing the Rift Heralds, which it almost looked like Sengoku were going to get the second one, and then they didn't, because DFM came back very quickly to contest it, and go on, Nightmare. I can see the eyes were like, oh, I'm in pain.
Yeah, so there was a point where Pyrion was landing bubbles. He was landing paddle stars.
It was a lot of them.
And then he landed quite a lot of them. But then, actually, Seros and also Gang were doing really well at punishing him when he was jumping forward. At least there was a rocket barrage coming through when, at least the Heimerdinger W coming through every time that she jumped forward, blocking out paddle stars onto slap targets with the turret too. And it meant that just the health trades which Sengoku might have got through winning the poke battle were just not going that way at all. And that meant that DFM wrangled away control of that upper river, took the Skarner Spire, and at that point, just no fighting them.
Also, once DFM managed to get themselves a Mountain Soul, which I'm sure will be a talking point for us.
Oh, go for it now!
But specifically, once that Mountain Soul came through, Pyrion's targets kind of ran out. He's already trying to be a poke champion into a Leona, into a Shen, into a tank Olaf. That's not great news. And then there's the Heimerdinger, which we said can block paddle stars as well. Like, you've got a Jhin as well, so you're not like you're looking at great anti-tank damage somewhere else. So it just hit this point where Pyrion's work was cut out for him, and he wasn't hitting as many bubbles as he'd like. It just became super tiring, especially with that shield on top of it as well. And that dance was around the Mountain Dragon that finally got them that soul was kind of Sengoku's last gasp in my eyes.
But it was a 50-50. It was either going to be a Mountain or it was going to be an Infernal Soul. And in all seriousness, I think Infernal might be technically worse for Sengoku on the opposite end of that.
I don't know. When you've got Jhin, who's such a low damage AD carry versus tanks, of course, I mean, when you're...
but then it's Shen that just does more damage?
Yeah, but then, well, I'm actually more worried about... You get hit by, like, one Heimerdinger rocket, just, like, one little blip, bang! That's Luden's Infernal, Scorch, Comet, and suddenly, if that hits a Jhin or a Zoe, they are out of the fight. So yeah, there's something to be said about that. However, as it stands, Mountain Soul really worked out pretty well for them. As soon as that was down, really no damage came through. DFM cleanly closing out the game. Yeah,
that Dragon, that Baron, and then we saw a few fights of Sengoku trying to more prevent and hold off the siege, but Sengoku, DFM rather, still had 30 seconds on their Baron buff when the Nexus fell. And gentlemen, with that 1-0, this looked pretty strong and a statement from DFM to the team of Sengoku. One, don't first pick Skarner against us. We will slap you. And two, what does Sengoku have to be feeling after this game?
We saw Blank's reaction on camera when that Skarner locked him. We saw the remake of Champ Select that went straight back with that Skarner pick in anyway. That tells me that was a mistake. That tells me that they were told to play with it anyway. We can't confirm it. but it didn't look great. Appamen was having a tough time, couldn't teleport in. Ebby was making his life hell. Hell, the Shen teleports to Stand United turned around a lot of bot side plays
The
as well,
first
which
two
we were
plays
looking
were
for.
huge.
Yeah.
I need to see not that from Appamen, basically. And I think that's... And the problem is, right, well, we said this series could well be damn close, or at least I did. I said 3-2 towards DFM. Losing your first game on your side selection when you've got that priority huge when it could be very close. That could have cost you the series.
It might have cost them the series, but gentlemen, we're going to go on a short little break here so that we can get into the next game so we can find out if it actually cost them this series, as that's now going to be the question we're going to be asking for the rest of this, because Initialize coined it, so we're going all in on it. I'm buying all the stock. That's in... Lovely viewer out there, don't go anywhere. We're going on that break I hinted towards. We'll be back, though, very, very soon.